Hello, everyone. I am here today with Aniko Brown, and she is from Kaqun Wellness. And Kaqun Wellness is dear to my heart. It's helped me a ton with healing from Hashimoto's in the way that you probably wouldn't think a place like Kaqun could help with. And the reason why I wanted to bring Aniko on here was to explain to you how Kaqun really works, because it's changed my life and I know it can change yours in the way that you can feel that energy again, you can get your life back again and do the things that you love. And Aniko had battled cancer for a long time, and I want her to share her story with you today so you have an idea of how Kaqun has helped her and changed her life.
Hi everyone, my name is Aniko Brown. I'm with Kaqun Las Vegas. So thank you for the intro, but I really appreciate it. So my story and how this whole started with me is back in 2009, I was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And to give you the short version of it, they told me I had 4 to 5 months to live. I had my first surgery here in Las Vegas, and they said there's nothing that we can really do. So, you just have to kind of just come to the conclusion that this is kind of like your end. And I'm like, no, not yet. I'm too young. Like, let's do something. So I went to Hungary and did the baths there for 6 months. My tumor was at 10 centimeters, and within 6 months, it shrank down to 2.5. And I went to UCLA to do the remaining surgery, and that was in the end of 2009. I got that done. And when I did the biopsy on my tumor, it was benign. And the reason why that happened is I'm going to go more in detail a bit later. But since then, I've been cancer-free. I have 2 beautiful children. I'm married, and this is what I love to do, is to help people and to share my story.
I love that. And it totally inspired me. I think it was the day I went to that conference, A4M, and I met with Dennis, and he was gung-ho about Kaqun, and I had no idea. But when I met you and I heard your story, it was so inspiring. I was like, I have to try this. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but I have to try it. And one thing I wasn't sure about was, like, where does someone start with Kaqun? What do they do? Like, do they just start drinking the water? Do they just start taking baths whenever they want? What's like a more organized way of getting started?
Yeah, so we do have set protocols or programs, we call them. It depends on the situation or what the person is going through. We love to do consultations with our clients, but I really, for me, from my own experience, I love for them just to start drinking the Kaqun water before they start doing the program, so they kind of get the idea, the feeling of it. They might detox a little bit from it, and then maybe a week later they'll be like, wow, like I'm starting like to feel better, so when can I get into those baths? And then they start doing the cocoon baths, and that is a grueling protocol, but it's so well worth it for the body, as you also experience yourself sweat up. It also depends on the person and what they're going through, as when it comes to their disease, because every person is unique and different when it comes to our programs that we offer here. But essentially, it would be the 14 days straight, 10 days off, 14 days, 10 days off, 14 days. Now, in that 14 days, you do 2 to 3 baths a day. For example, somebody dealing with autoimmune deficiency, we like to start with 2 baths a day just to see how they are, because sometimes they can be sensitive to it. So once they start to feel better and they have the energy, because the first few days you're going to be detoxing and tired, and which is totally normal, you can start to get that energy. And that's when, like, okay, you're feeling better, let's get you up to 3 baths a day. Somebody also with Lyme's too, they're both very, very close in common. So we like to start out slow and then gradually build them up to where they can go to 3 baths a day.
Oh,
There you go.
so I
I'm like, wait, you're mute.
I know. So Sorry for that glimpse right there, but
No
having a little
worries.
bit of tech issues here. It's okay.
No
But yeah,
worries.
for a while there, I wasn't sure if it was working. And it was just because, like, it's water, you know, like you don't think something as simple as water can be so effective. And for me, I knew that, like, I wasn't going to get better with a supplement. There was no magic pill out there. And I had to really clean my body of these viruses and infections for me to be able to turn my life around, because there was no shortcut. I was looking for all these shortcuts to get better and to really heal my health, but I wasn't really building a good foundation. I was like just using different band-aids to cover up symptoms, and then they would come back and it was ineffective. So one thing Kaqun did for me was it helped me realize that I was a bit oxygen deficient, and I had something called hypoxia, which I had no idea what that was and how it even happens. And maybe, Aniko, you can go into a little bit of that.
Yeah, definitely. So you nailed it right there when it comes to hypoxia. So hypoxia is the baseline for most of all the diseases that we can bring up. You know, comes to diabetes, stroke, Lyme, autoimmune deficiency, cancer. All of them are linked to being hypoxic. Once a cell becomes hypoxic, then things start happening, bad things start happening to your body. And that could be, you know, from stress to the food that you eat, the environment that you surround yourself with. And people don't really notice until they're starting to feel well. And that's where we come in, and we can publicly say is that we do treat hypoxia. And that's where, you know, the oxygen will go into the cell and then help rejuvenate that cell again, help with the mitochondria to kickstart again. And that's why you're starting to feel better when you're taking these baths and getting the energy back, because your cells were feeding off of the oxygen and are able to feel better. So now, you know, now your body's back to being 10 years younger, where you weren't aching anymore when you got out of bed. And so that's where we come in. And even with drinking the water too as well, we have this amazing machine that I like to show you too, Sweta, and it measures the oxygen partial pressure in your tissue. And that's when I can really show the person what happens when they drink the Kaqun water.
And that's so fascinating because, when I had EBV and I had these other viruses that cause Hashimotos, they were hiding in my cells. They were not hiding in the bloodstream. Because when I tested my blood, it would come back negative. When I tested my gut and I did a stool sample, it also came back negative. And I had
Mm.
no idea where these viruses were hiding. But when I did these Kaqun treatments, it made me realize that not only I was feeling better, but I was killing off these viruses that were causing this autoimmune condition to trigger. And it's kind of like, I mean, how can you really measure what viruses you have in your cells? I don't think there's a technology out there to do
Not yet.
that. So,
No.
when you oxygenate the entire body, you're giving it an opportunity to basically just start over, right?
Exactly.
And sort of clean out the cells. And I remember when I first started, I was like a bit tired after the first round, and I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know if it was because it wasn't for me or what was going on. But I remember you said that it was more about the detoxing effect. And then after that, I felt more energized, and I was staying up till like 3 a.m., didn't know what to do with my life. And I was even taking supplements, and I was so surprised because you get the effect of caffeine without the crash. And it's
Yeah.
basically prolonged energy. And maybe, Aniko, you can go into a little bit of that and where this sort of energy comes from, and how come it lasts so long, not just like a short period of time and then you crash.
So when it comes to the caffeine feel, or when you get that energy after you drink the cocoon water, is because your mitochondria has a kickstart. Your cells are like, whoa, like awake, they're ready to go. So things start moving. Your circulatory system starts to kick in, blood flow starts going through your body, your mind starts to clear. And when you have, especially when it comes to the mind, and when it comes to, Lyme disease, I know a lot of them have, an autoimmune deficiency. They also deal with brain fog. And with the cocoon water, the brain absorbs the most oxygen in your body. And the cocoon water will go to the brain as well. Even if you drink the water, absorb it, and then you just start to feel like better, like you're able like to conquer the world. It's an amazing feeling. It's really hard to even express it by words. You have to experience it for yourself. And then the reason why you don't have that crash after you drink the coconut water, because it keeps it up for 2 hours, and then you drink every 2 hours 68 ounces, and you keep that longevity going through the entire day. You're oxygenating your cells the entire day. That's why you don't have that crash. You just oxygenate. You feel better. But at the end of the night, you actually will sleep deeper too, as well. And there's no sugar. It's all natural, and it's perfect for the body.
And like the oxygen, when you drink the water, it lasts up to 2 hours, right?
Correct.
And
Yes.
then when you
Hmm.
take the bath, it lasts longer.
It lasts about 3 to 4 hours. Combination of both. It's very, very. It just works well together. And I have clients who do. They drink, the first thing they do when they wake up, they drink cocoon water, and then they do their bath, and then they wait. It just really depends on the person. And a lot of people are really in tune with their bodies when they're doing the therapy as well, because they're into wellness, as and fitness, or it may be. So the combination of both is very, very powerful.
I see. And when the oxygen basically runs out after you're done, with the
Hmm.
certain amount that you get, like, is it, it basically does leave your immune system more stronger, or do you have to have like another dose, and it's sort of like you have to become dependent on it?
That's a good question. So you don't have to continuously do it. Obviously we do recommend drinking the water every day as part. It's kind of like taking vitamins.
Mhm.
You want to keep it up, and then your body will feel it too. Like, hey, I have my cocoon water. Where is it? So I go back and drink my water. It really depends on the person. I mean, how do you feel and experience it when you miss a day? If you miss a day, because I know you're pretty on top with your health.
Yeah, I haven't missed a day yet. So
Good.
I mean, actually in February is when I started using Cocoon water. And then I retested myself, and I saw that I had a huge decrease in my antibodies. And I realized that and then I tested for these viruses, and I realized that, yeah, I had these viruses causing this autoimmune condition. And when the RT3 level is high, the reverse T3, it usually means that something chronic is going on in your body. And most big pharma doctors will never tell you about hypoxia. I actually never knew about hypoxia. I didn't even know like how one feels when they have hypoxia. So maybe Aniko, you can even describe that. Like, what are some of the symptoms of hypoxia, and like, how would you know? Because there's so many things that cause fatigue. There's so many things that can cause hair loss and all sorts of symptoms people feel. How does one know when they're hypoxic?
Hypoxia is a lack of oxygen in your cells. And when you become ill with a disease, that's basically you become hypoxic. They have measured tumors that are up in the surface. Let's say breast cancer, for example. We can measure the oxygen on that tumor and come to find out it is low and it's hypoxic. And that's where we're able to connect. And even there was a journal that came out, health journal that came out back in 2019, and they said that the underlying condition for disease is hypoxia. And that's so when you feel like there's inflammation in your body, when you're just tired and fatigued and, losing hair, that is also hypoxia. And you can get tested for that. They won't tell you that you're hypoxic, but, you can probably check it with like the inflammation numbers in your body. You can do that by blood work. But we also have this amazing machine, like I was saying, the oxygen partial pressure machine, where we can actually test the person if they are hypoxic or not.
Wow. So I think the best way to really check is maybe use that machine. I have a pulse oximeter. I use that religiously to just see what my oxygen levels are. And if it's below 87, means that, yeah, you're hypoxic. Like you need to go put yourself in a bath or something. Right.
Correct. So that so the S2 monitor measures the oxygen in your blood. It's a great device to have. If it's that low, that's a problem. At 87, that's really bad. You want to be between 97, 98, but that measures the blood. With my machine, we measure the oxygen tissue and see where you're at for your age. And obviously, it goes by age. So the younger we are, the higher it is. The older we get, it starts to go down naturally. So when people are like, oh my gosh, I'm low, I'm like, no, because of where you have to be for your age, that's normal. But obviously, if somebody is dealing with a condition, it's going to be lower than what it's supposed to be. But with the Kaqun water, when you even if you just drink, 6-8 ounces, I can show you that it can go up slowly, maybe 25% more after drinking 1 cup of water. And also, that's an anti-aging effect happening too, because if you're going up, that means your age of your tissue is going up too, right? Or going backwards.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you're at, at a 50-year-old body being 30 years old, but then you start to go, up, then it's going to reverse it to 40 years old or 35. And that's why you start to feel better, because of the anti-aging effect that happens. That once the oxygen levels go up in your body, that means that your organs, your cells start to be younger again. Your skin starts to feel better. You start to look better. Your skin, your hair, everything starts to look better at that point. So yeah.
Yeah. And also like when you have like hypoxia, or when you're dealing with any sort of disease, you're kind of in a fight or flight situation with your health. Like you don't know what to do. You can try so many things. And I was kind of at that point where no supplement was working for me. Like nothing was working for me. And I felt like, I mean, you can take iron, you can take all these supplements, but if they don't get to the cell level and they're not absorbing, then you're basically not taking anything, and that's been the problem. And with Kaqun, it's given me the opportunity to utilize and absorb everything I was eating and everything I was taking from a cellular level. And I also, like with that, I kind of want to back up a bit and maybe kind of tell people or let these women know, like, where does this oxygen water come from? Like, how do you even get the oxygen in the water? I mean, we have like Arrowhead, we have Aquafina, we have all these water brands, right? And they're all H2O, but you're like extra O, So how do you pack this oxygen in the water?
So we actually filter out in 2 ways. So the drinking water is from a natural source only. So we have a factory in Hungary that creates the Kaqun water, and it goes through a special machine. And what it does is that it purifies it and then goes through it and it becomes Kaqun water. That I can't tell the secret behind that. But when it comes to the bathing water, when you sit in it, it feels like it's heavier, right? Like it's not just regular bath water or pool. So with that, it's oxygen partial pressure. And what it does is that with that pressure, it pushes the oxygen into your skin. That's why the water is warm, so it opens up the pores and it has easier way to get into your skin. and then your body absorbs it, goes to hemoglobin, straight to cellular, level. Um, the machine that is in the baths is you pull it from tap water and then turned into Kaqun water. And we always use new water each time. We clean the baths, make sure, the clients are always taken care of. And so that's pretty much it as far as I can go, and I can explain the baths or the technology behind it. But there is more information on it too on kaqunlv.com or kaqun.eu. That's our European partner there, and it's more elaborate when it comes to the process of the Kaqun water.
Yeah, that's great. And like in terms of the oxygen, I know it's effective. I mean, a little bit of background on me. I had autoimmune hemolytic anemia, which means that there wasn't enough blood circulating in my body, let alone oxygen going to the brain. So the only way I could get that was if I had a blood transfusion. And when you get a blood transfusion, they don't check the blood if it has, viruses or bacteria. They check for STDs, but that's about it. And in my case, I was kind of in a chicken or the egg situation where, I had to get these blood transfusions, otherwise I would not live. And I got transfusions for 3 years. Who knows what type of viruses and infections came with it. And I wish I knew about, Kaqun when I had that second autoimmune condition, because I could have killed off those viruses when I was getting these transfusions. But, I had to take a different route, and I found them luckily at a different time, and they have changed my life. It's hard to explain until you actually experience it. Because I feel like, it's something that there's so many different types of waters out there. It's something so simple, but it's so effective at the same time. And I feel that, with the supplement, sure, you can take vitamin C, you can take, your thyroid medication, and it's not going to cure the symptoms. But when you're trying to turn your body around from the inside out, and one of the things I never really explained was genetics, given my genetic background, I learned a lot about the fact that my body doesn't detoxify like a normal person's body because of my genes and certain enzyme reactions that I am not able to have, that most people do. And it's something that you may want to look into, because if you're in the same situation, then Kaqun is the place, because no matter what your genes say, no matter who you are, you can turn off those genes and you can start over in a way where your body feels much more rejuvenated. And I meet people all the time that tell me, like, my genes, like I got this from my mom, or I got this from my dad. And that doesn't have to be the end story. It doesn't have to, be your life. It doesn't have to be your destiny. And I think with Kaqun, you can give it a shot and see how it works for you. But it's not something that I suggest personally after using it to try like for one day and then hope everything's gonna work out for you. I think, Aniko mentioned that you should try it for 14 days, right? And maybe even try like one bath a day and have the Kaqun water and see how you feel, right? And maybe if that feels good, try the 2 baths, like skip a couple weeks, try the 2 baths a day for 14 days and see how you feel. And I think with me and this water, it's definitely made a change in the way that not only how I feel, but also trying to turn around some of these symptoms that I was facing. And it wasn't like a 1 week, 2 week sort of thing. I've been using Kaqun water since like probably a few months, and I feel a huge difference in just my vitality. So
Yeah, you seem to feel more confident, and just your complexion wise is, it's clear. You seem more energetic. From when I first saw you, you seemed, like discouraged. Let's put it that way. Now you're like, okay, I'm feeling better. Now it's time to share this to the world and then help a lot of people with this.
yeah, and once this Corona stuff turns around, I would love to set up a retreat with some of you women and take you to Kaqun and have the experience. I'll do it myself because I love Kaqun.
Yeah,
And
would love to have you guys join us. Yeah, definitely.
yeah, and with that, Aniko, maybe you can just sort of share like three biggest takeaways. I know we shared a lot of information between your story, my story, and how Cocoon has helped us. And maybe you can sort of share three big takeaways.
So I have this one lady. She has Lyme and she's been wheelchair bound for 15 years. And she came to me about a year ago from Salt Lake. And she's discouraged. She could even barely talk. She was so tired and exhausted, vertigo constantly. Can you imagine sitting in a room 24/7 nonstop? I can't fathom that. It's not a life for she's 33 now.
No
Not
way.
no way. No. It's an incredible story that she has. So when she first started taking the bath, she maybe did one every other day. It was a grueling process. I mean, she was spinning, nauseous. She was detoxing. I told her, I'm like, just get through this first hump. You're gonna do well. This seems like it's gonna take a little bit longer than we expected, but you got this. You're strong. And fast forward a year later, I just spoke to her a few days ago, and now she's starting to, stand up a little bit off of her wheelchair. She loves to shop. So when she goes to Ross, that's what she does. She likes to stand up, look at clothes. Now she's up to 3 baths a day. She's going to be coming back in the end of June to continue. I think it's going to be her 10th round right now.
Wow.
And doing 3 baths a day. Yeah.
That's incredible. Yeah. Going from that to like having her life back again, and that's incredible. And like, I mean, that goes to show you it doesn't just work with cancer, it doesn't just work with autoimmune, but it's like needed for your body. Oxygen, you can't live without oxygen. And especially if your immunity is suppressed and you're dealing with autoimmune conditions, you need oxygen to be able to boost the autoimmune condition, the autoimmune issue, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
And
yes.
So do you have like another story you want to share with us of somebody who may have had a different condition?
Yes, I'm going to say that one that stood out to me is I have a gentleman right now. Now he has cancer, but when he came to me 3 months ago, he was stage 4 colon cancer, and I mean, what he did was phenomenal because prior to coming to Cocoon, he changed his diet, no sugar, vegan. He was doing chemo, which we advised him to do, but he needs something a little bit more, an extra boost. And so he's been taking the baths now for a few months. Now he's got enough energy to go back golfing. He golfs probably 4 or 5 times a week. They just did a scanner on him. They found no trace of cancer. And he's gaining muscle weight, he's exercising. Like I told him, like, slow down, like you're overdoing it. But he's like, Aniko, I have this energy I can't explain, and I just know that things are getting better and I'm conquering this. And he has 2 young kids, so he has that drive, and that's an incredible story too. And then the third one, I have so many stories. I can keep going and going. The third one will have to be a child.
Uh-huh.
And this child was in remission. uh, luckily she was when she came to us, so she had no cancer, but the after effects of chemo was still lingering. And she was 12 years old at the time, and she maybe slept 2 to 3 hours a night. Quality of life was not there after having chemo for 5 years straight. And the mom calls me one day. She's like, "Hey, my daughter, she's still sleeping. Like, is that normal?" I'm like, "Well, how many hours?" And she's like, "8 hours now." And I'm like, "Whoa, that was day 5." Kids are little, they react to it quicker than adults do because they're young.
Uh-huh.
And she was able to sleep, 8, 10 hours a day. She was doing gymnastics with my daughter at Kaqun. The first time I met her, she could play in like stand. I mean, full on energy. And she's still doing great to this day. She's still in remission, and she drinks the water every day. And that's just an incredible story and what that little girl went through. So it's
Wow.
amazing.
All these stories are incredible. And,
Yeah.
what really caught my attention was that you mentioned diet. Like before I went to Cocoon, I want to let you guys know that I had the cleanest diet you could have on this planet. I was eating an anti-inflammatory diet, 2 meals a day. Like, I was tried intermittent fasting. I tried so many different things, so many different supplements, and totally no sugar. Nothing was working for me. And I know that a lot of you are feeling that same frustration where you're trying the diet, where you're taking the supplements, you're following these protocols to a T, and nothing's giving. And I think that's when Cocoon sort of changed my life, was because that was the one thing I was missing in my body, was the oxygen for things to actually function and move and be able to, have my cells be alive again, and being able to utilize what I was actually eating, instead of just making me fall asleep. Because before, even with this sort of really healthy, clean diet, I had this midday crash, and I had no idea why I was like tired or feeling drowsy at like 2 o'clock, at 6 o'clock, at these random times of the day. And I would be out with my friends, and on the strip or something, and 10:30 came around, and I would feel so exhausted. And I felt so bad because a friend of mine came from Australia to visit me, and I couldn't even take her out because I was like, hey, I feel so exhausted. Like, I don't know how to explain this to you, but I am having this condition, and I don't want to, end the night. But I had to call my other friend to sort of take her out and help her enjoy the night while I was out of commission. And I mean, that wasn't a life to live. And I think, meeting Cocoon was so divine. I had a chance to get my life back again, and they've made a huge difference.
Awesome. I'm
So,
so happy to help you. I have no idea.
yeah, and I'm so excited to maybe, in the future, have a retreat at Cocoon. And of course, all of you ladies will receive discounted prices to use Cocoon and their facility. And Aniko will be welcoming you. And
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
great. Well, thanks, Annika. Thank you for your time today. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I look forward to hopefully speaking again soon.
Alrighty, sounds good. You guys take care. Sweta, you take care. Be safe out there.
Thank you.